Hello, hello, hello. I am happy to be in this space with founders, Black female founders, the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs in the United States. The group of women who create 42% of the new businesses that are created every single day in the United States. That's Black women. Yeah. And I'm happy that you've chosen to spend your time with me, right? Capacity building, strengthening your skill sets, etc. So please tell me if you can hear the sound of my voice by dropping a 1 in the chat. I want to make sure that everything shared today is able to be absorbed by you, that you can ask questions real time, that I can answer your questions, right? To make sure that this is an hour that is well spent. All right, Breeze hears me. Okay, thank you, Breeze. I'm grateful that you making sure I'm set up okay on my end. Beautiful Taswan, what's up, mama? Good to see you. Hey, Margie, it was good talking to you earlier today. Cynthia's in the house. All right, beautiful. So, Ada, hello. I want to know where you all are tuning in from. Please do drop your cities. Rep your city, rep your state. What's up, Janisha? So good to have you. I want to know where y'all are tuning in from. I am in Nairobi, Kenya. It is always the same temperature here year round. So I'll say it's a good day. Okay. A beautiful day. Jade, what's up? Welcome. Breeze is in Berkeley, California. Big ups to the Bay. Cynthia, St. Louis. Love it. Teswan is in the A. Okay. Ada's in Michigan. Amazing. Margie's in Peoria, Illinois. Another A-town in the house. Atlanta from Janisha. Beautiful Jade is in the A. Oh, the A is repping heavy today. Okay. That's what's up. So I appreciate deeply, I mean this, I deeply appreciate you choosing, right, to spend time kicking it with me, right? And I'm always going to make sure that it is time well spent because Black women, you deserve all the things, period, full stop. You deserve all of the things, okay? And we're going to get into this, okay? Now, I want you all to Greenville, South Carolina. Okay, Greta. I want you to make sure that you ask questions. This is a safe space, okay? There's a Q&A box. Definitely drop your question in the Q&A box or the chat. I'll be watching both, okay? Again, this is meant to edify you. This is a safe space. The only foolish question is the one that you never ask because you never know, right? You're walking around life faking it until you're making it instead of being it until you see it, okay? This is a space where you can be it until you see it. So let's get into it, okay? Today, we are talking about the cash flow statement, okay? The cash flow statement, which is one of the important financial statements for founders to understand, right? As founders, we are more than just the hardest working employee in our companies. We have to be. Who's going to steer the ship, man? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to make the connections today that changes everything, right, about our company and who we serve? It has to be us, okay? What's up, Asia, Charlotte, North Carolina? Good to see you always, mama. Jade can't hear me. Can anyone else not hear me? Tell me in the chat before I keep going. Is it just Jade or can other people not hear me? I'm looking. Can anyone else not hear me or is it just Jade? Because if I need to adjust on my end, I'm happy too. Okay, Cynthia can hear me. Asia can hear me. Okay, beautiful. So Jade, maybe try logging out and coming back in. Maybe somebody write that in the chat for her. What's up, Lindsay? Write that in the chat for her. Maybe she can refresh or go out and come back in, but everyone else can hear me. All right, so let's get into it. Again, the cash flow statement is what we are talking about today. Lean into questions. I'm saying this 3 times because I understand that our relationship with money has not always been a healthy one. That's real, right? And so it is my responsibility to make it palatable. I am Casey, Ariel Richardson, for those who do not know. Heavy on the Ariel because my last name about to change. Getting married next October. So Casey Ariel is who I am. That piece will not change, okay? And I'm the founder of Blaze Group, LLC. Blaze means building leaders and accepting zero excuses. Zero, because progress has been taking too long when we've left it in the hands of other rich folk, okay? So we pulling up without excuse. All right. But what's more important is who this is for. I want to make sure that you are in the right spot, that you feel seen, okay? And that this is a good use of your time. So this is a space for you right now, in this moment, if you're not sure what your company goals should be, if you're not sure what goals to set. You may have remembered in your 9 to 5 that every single year, right, y'all had the top 3 goals for the company. It wasn't 10, it wasn't 20, it wasn't 30. And if you have 30, you have too many, right? Big founder energy in here, right? This is the right space for you if you need help narrowing down what company goals to set. Because that's what the leader has to do, right? If I'm resonating with you, okay, if I'm in your house, if I'm on your toes, drop a 1 in the chat, all right? This is also for the Black female entrepreneur who needs help establishing boundaries. Because freedom is on the menu in entrepreneurship. We did not leave that job to come over here and be a slave to this one. Freedom has to be on the menu, right? And boundaries have to look like a lot of things, like way more than just saying no. It has to be like, this is the level of cash I'm comfortable with. And outside of that, yeah, we can't do it. All right, Greta's with me, right? It has to be, this is the amount of time you have to turn this inventory. Otherwise, you are unsuccessful at your job. Big founder energy, okay? So if you need help in these areas and setting these boundaries for yourself and your company, right? So that you can sleep at night without worrying, right? About the millions of things that you don't know how they should come together, you're in the right spot. Again, 1's in the chat if I'm in your house, right? I want to make sure this resonates with you. This is also for the woman who wants to create a safety net, right? We were in our 9 to 5s. We heard a whole lot about having enough savings for XYZ, but this is a whole nother ball game because it's not like paying the rent, right? This is keeping our business running, right? Okay, Cynthia's with me, Breeze is with me, Teswan is heavy with me. This is about making sure that no matter what, recession or not, spike or not, change in consumer sentiment or not, that your business keeps running. Why? Because it's not about learning everything you need to know today and doing it perfectly. It's about staying in the game long enough to survive so that you do. I'm going to say that one more time. It is not about knowing everything today and doing it all perfectly. Janisha's with me. It is about staying in the game long enough so that you do, right? It takes time to learn this stuff, right? And with safety nets in our business, we can make sure, right, that, you know what I'm saying, we can look down for 6 months and say, okay, we straight, right? Now, you don't need to know how to do that. You don't need to know how to do that. I will help you out today, okay? This is also for the woman who wants to get better at planning, right? Planning is not always natural for people, right? Because it is boring to some people, right? It could be that you can see the big picture. This is many visionaries, okay? I consult companies where the CEOs are exactly like this. It could be that you have this vision, but you don't give a damn about the operational steps. You don't give a damn about the increments. You don't even know how to define them. You need somebody else to do that, right? But you can see the vision. Right? If you want to get better at planning, you don't need to be perfect, right? You just need to be able to articulate, okay, the important things so that the people who are good at it run with it. But the leader has to be in that seat. It has to be you. It can't be the content manager. It can't be the blogger, okay? It has to be you. Greta said, this is good. I'm so happy I'm in your household. Now, last but not least, just in case I'm not in your house yet, this is for the Black woman who wants to heal her relationship with money, because I understand that there are things that we still today cannot talk about aloud because of shame, because of discomfort, right? Because we don't even know what to say. We don't even know we don't know, but we know we're not there, right? And our family can't help us because they struggle too. Our friends can't help us because they struggle too. Right? Banks can't help us because they don't cater for us. They don't put billboards in our communities and our neighborhoods. They don't come and knock on our doors and say, hey, I know you're a business owner. Let us take a shot on you. Right? This is for the woman who wants help healing her relationship with money. Why? Because we have to. Jada, I'm glad you're back with us, mama. Because we have to. Because we the CEO, we the founders. It has to be us, right? And I know there's a journey to get there. I'm going to help bridge us closer, right, to their healing today. All right, so I've seen a lot of people say I'm in your house, okay? If this resonates, okay, Lindsay is with me. If this resonates, right, drop anything you want to in the chat. Because sometimes a one just don't do it justice. Sometimes, one exclamation point doesn't do it justice. Lindsay dropped 3, right? But I want to make sure this is a good use of your time because I never want to waste your time, okay? So I'm saying up front who this is for. All right, now that we said that, a little bit about who I am for folks who are not. Rakita said, this is me, cuz. She dropped like 15 ones in the chat. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So a little bit about me. I am from South Carolina. Okay. I went to the University of South Carolina. We call ourselves USC. I still do that, even though the Cali folks get mad about it. But I'm a proud Gamecock for sure. In college, it was the first time in my life where I had to put on a piece of paper who I wanted to be and hold myself to that if I wanted to get out of there on time, right? It was the first time I made a proclamation about how I wanted to take up space in the world. And that was important for me, right? Because just like I'm doing right here today, thought leadership is everything. Right? Taking up space and proclaiming things without permission is everything, right? So those reps were so important, even though it's taken a long time for me to be where I am today. Miles Davis said, it takes a long time to learn how to sound like yourself. Woo! The great Miles Davis said, it takes a long time to learn how to sound like yourself. And I am so grateful. I have so much gratitude that journey started for me, right? Over a decade ago. Because that was pivotal for so many things in my life. Teswan said, your safe space keeps me motivated. I should keep coming back, sis. We ain't going nowhere. Now, I am also the woman who played by the rules, married my high school sweetheart 4 weeks after graduating, was with him for 6 years, child. Waited, child. I literally thought everything would be perfect going forward, but it wasn't, okay? That joker put his hands on me. Right? And I decided to leave even though Big Mama didn't. Okay? I decided to save my life even though my mother didn't make it out of the apartment complex where she was abused and died when I was only 1. Right? I decided to change the course of my lineage very literally. Right? And so 12 days after that happened, after I got my restraining order, after I mustered up the energy to say, I don't know what you're going to do, Case, but I promise you it's going to be better across the country. I left Charlotte, North Carolina, and moved to Oakland, California, and started my entire life over. I left the house that we built from the ground up. I left my job and my friends. I left my family, man. Right? And I started over. Another pivotal moment in my life because it was the first time I went away from the cookie cutter plan that everybody planned out for me, right? And said I should do that. I studied, right? And I made a bet on me and things were 5-5. I thrived in the Bay. I literally thrived in the Bay. I made over 100K more than I was making in the Bay by the time I ended up leaving the Bay. Okay, I was there for 4 years, and it was a beautiful moment of making a big decision for myself. And now I'm in Nairobi, Kenya, right? I stayed there for 4 years. Pandemic hit, man. I was supposed to go to London with my 9-to-5, but the pandemic disrupted that. But by the end of the same year, I decided to bet on myself. And here I am living in Nairobi, Kenya. Okay. This is who I am. I am also a woman that loves a lot of things. Music is everything to me. I love to sing. I have a very sultry neo-soul voice, thanks to Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, D'Angelo, and Dia Ivory. All the people that I love. I love chocolate so much. I'm in remission right now, trying to get my body right and tight after being on my founder diet for a while. And I promise you're in the right spot because I'm a finance geek. Okay. I structured multi-billion-dollar loans for tech companies all over the world. Airbnb was my client, honestly. right? MasterCard, my client. Texas Instruments, that makes those calculators for us, my client. Dell, my client. So many others. Apple, my client, right? Okay, so I know about this stuff, right? Very, very well. And since leaving, I have not put it down, right? Here in Nairobi, Kenya, I've helped a company launch a financial product for poor farmers that people refuse to bank, right? And this year alone, we've already distributed $5 million to 3 countries, 40% of those being women. Banks don't do that over here, right? So I promise you, I got you. I promise you, I understand this stuff very well, and that you are so cold because you've always been 3 times as good that you're gonna get this easily. I don't care what they tell you. Y'all gonna get this very, very easily, okay? So, and before I go, I just want you to know that I cape hard for Black women. I love Black women. Y'all are who I do it for, and that's gonna be true tomorrow and next year and the year after that. I work with a lot of companies, right? I continue to work with more. That list continues to grow every single day, right? But this right here, this intimate space right here is everything to me, okay? Because the world will know your names and your brands. I promise you this. I'm not just talking. I promise you this. Your brands will be the ones that people are talking about in the years to come. Your brands will show up on somebody else's presentation right here because they're honored that they have the privilege of working with you. Okay. And this act you're doing right now is how I know, because you're leaning into the real stuff. So let's get into it. Breeze, I'm gonna read your message. I love that because you left a toxic situation, had faith to do it, and now you're helping so many Black women. Ashe. We got to, sis. We have to start writing the stories that we've never seen before. As great as Big Mama was, right? Thank you so much for that affirmation. All right, so what you will learn today. I have 43 minutes to teach it to you. Okay, but I promise you're gonna walk away learning this stuff. 1, setting company guardrails, right? Because you'll need to understand how to set minimums, non-negotiables, right? You don't have to be there today, but you need to know what you're striving towards, right? You have to set it, not the VA, okay? So minimum cash balance that you keep in your company's bank account at all times, so that even if calamity comes, y'all good. Similar to what you did when you were in the 9-to-5 with your personal savings, right? You'll also want to know how much of your credit lines to leave untapped. So again, when calamity comes, you know you got something to draw on. It's not about getting it all perfectly today. It's about surviving long enough that you do. Second thing you'll learn, how to do short-term and long-term planning. You have to do it, founder. Why? Because being proactive is much less expensive than being reactive. When you're trying to clean up stuff after the glass is already shattered, that takes time, baby. Right? When you're trying to steer your company in a different direction after you've already doubled down on something, it is really, really tough, right, to steer that ship in another direction. But you'll learn today, right, how to gauge what needs to happen early on, right, so that you avoid these things. The founder has to do that, okay? And the third thing you'll learn is how to measure efficiency. Now, this is good. This is incredible, right? Because I need y'all to not just work in your business. I need you to work on your business. As you grow, I need you to come up out of the operational stuff and be on top of your business, right? Scaling teams, folks that are off the chain at what they do. But you have to understand how to measure efficiency. You have to understand how to look at inventory that's been sitting too long and says somebody ain't moving efficiently enough, right? You have to be able to look at money you borrowed from the bank and say, oh, it's been 6 months, we've not made any money off of that, and I'm just paying interest. That's efficiency, right? And so the founder has to move like that, okay? And so I'm going to teach you, right, how to avoid leakages on cash, where it's just the money going and you don't know where it went. You can't tell the story, right? And how to optimize the timing of your decisions, right? It's not just about making the decision. It is about optimizing the timing of when you say go, right? So that you avoid losing a lot of money that your company must keep to stay around long enough, right, to learn and perfect. Okay. I hope you're excited. I am absolutely excited. So let's go. Understanding the cash flow statement. Now, first question for you all today, okay, is what is cash flow? Answer that poll for me. What is cash flow? I'm waiting. I don't see your answers yet, but I'm looking. Listen, it's okay if you get it wrong, okay? This is safe space. We're going to learn together. But what is cash flow? Is it the amount of cash flowing out of the business, right? Is that your cash flow? Is it the amount of cash flowing into a business? Is your cash flow the amount of money that you have coming in as you make sales, as you close deals, as you start getting passive income, right? Is it the net amount of cash inflows and cash outflows for a business? I'm going to close the poll. And beautiful, I see more answers coming in. I love that. Definitely answer this question, y'all, right? I'm going to say it again. Is it the amount of money that's leaving, right, the cash flowing out of your business? Is it the amount of cash flowing into your business? Or is it that net amount of cash inflows and cash outflows of your business? I'll close the poll in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Get your answers in. 4, 3, 2. I see y'all answering good. 1. All right, beautiful. So no one believed that it was cash going out, right? So you thinking about cash flow being a little different. 22% of you, so every 1 in 5, right? 1 in 5 of you believe that it's actually the cash flowing into the business, the sales you're making, etc., right? And then 77%, so more than 3/4 of you believe there's actually that net amount, right? That it's both. It's just the difference between them. Thank you for answering. I love this. Lean into this a lot. Ask questions, right? We're all on this ride together. The answer is that cash flow is the net amount of cash inflows and cash outflows over a period of time. So 77% of you were right? Let's contextualize this more, right? So what we're saying is over a period of time, right, the money that I have coming in and the money that I have going out is my cash flow. So when I talk about, cash flow, when I'm rapping in my songs or whatever, I'm bopping in my stuff, I'm understanding, right, that it's not just about the sales that I'm making. I've said a lot to people in the Blaze community that we can't just focus on the revenue number, right? And I've explained many, many reasons why. This is another reason why, right? Because your revenue has, I'm not gonna say nothing to do with your cash flow, but it has very little to do with the answer, okay? It may not be anywhere close. And I'll prove that today, okay? And another thing I want you to understand, right? Write this down, is that it's over a period of time. A period of time. There is no such thing as you permanently being, right, in a bad cash flow position or a good cash flow position. It literally depends on what period of time we're looking at. It could have been that in the top of the year, it was great, right? Because people set New Year's resolutions and everybody wanted to buy from you, right? And so it was a great story. And that when June came, people have fatigue and nobody cares. And the coaching industry is struggling and all of these things, right? And then it's worse. So don't feel bad about what this answer might be for you. Know that it is only a period of time. For instance, okay, let's say a business between January and March had $15,000 coming in. Okay, between January and March, very specific, a 90-day period, right? And let's also say that over that same period, January through March, they had $14,583 that went out. Right? Big founder energy. We have to look at both of these pieces, right? Both of these pieces have to be very important to us. I mean, we don't have to put it on Instagram, right? But we have to understand this. Why? Because the cash flow for that particular period for this business was $417. That's an important number to know. That means that over this period, for all the cash coming in and all the cash going out, your cash flow was $417, which, by the way, let's talk slow on this part, will always equal the change in your bank account for that period. Every single time. Every single time. I will prove it to you today. That number is important because it will always equal the change in your bank account for that period. Always. Some of you might say, well, Casey, how do you know? How do you know I don't keep money under my mattress? Okay, cool. So I'll put some stuff in parentheses for y'all, okay? Or your total cash balance, right? Because some of you might have, seriously, some of you might store cash, right? in your house. Some of you might store cash across 10 different bank accounts. That's fine. But I promise you, this cash flow number will always equal the change in your total cash balance. I don't care what you spent money on over that period of time. That is why this cash flow number is so important, right? And as much as this might gnaw at us and make us feel nauseous, we really need to understand it. Like, we just got to sit with it and then make better decisions in the future. That's us being proactive. That's big founder energy. It ain't going to be the VA that does it. All right, let's keep going. So we know that cash flow is the net amount of cash inflows and cash outflows over a period of time. We've established that. Guess what? The cash flow statement, which we're talking about today, monitors your company's incoming and outgoing money. So what I am telling you is you don't need to remember it up here. The cash flow statement will tell you 100% of the time. 100% of the time. If you have a cash flow statement in your company and you care about it and you look at it, I promise you it does the monitoring of 100% of your company's incoming and outgoing money. It's all in that one sheet. Teswan said, absolutely. Ashe. It's all in that one sheet. Okay. This is why it is important, but I will continue to convince you, right? Because I understand, right, that this relationship with money can be tough. Understand that the cash flow statement has three things, right? It breaks your money, your spending, right? Your inflows, your outflows into three things. Operating activities, write that down. Investing activities, and financing activities. Write these three things down. It always breaks your money, inflow and outflow, your cash inflow and outflow. Yep, it is, Rakita. It is on QuickBooks. Yep, 100%. If you have QuickBooks online, you got it. Okay. The cash flow statement always breaks your inflows and outflows down into operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. And guess what? Any money that you spend will always hit one of these three categories. I promise you. I don't care what you spend money on in your business. It will always go into one of these three categories. So you do not need to worry at all that your business spending will not be shown on the cash flow statement. It always has to fall into one of these three categories, and it allows you, big founder, to monitor your cash flow. Let's dive into what that means. So, operating activities, okay? Operating activities are all of the cash generating abilities of your core business activity. So what do I mean by that? It's the core business activities, right? This line, this net cash flow will show you how well your core business is doing. What that means is not the extra stuff you're doing on the side, like trading stocks, and not the extra stuff you're doing on the side, like renting out your house or some Airbnb. I mean, the core business. It's going to help you monitor the core businesses. What is that, Case? Jay says she's loving these gems. I'm so happy you are, mama. Salaries that you're paying. That's core business right there. Materials and supplies. We need the paper to put in the printer. That's core business right there. It all falls into operating activities. Money paid to your suppliers, right? Are you buying inventory, right? Are you buying anything from vendors? All of that goes into the operating activities so that you can monitor your cash spend. Sales income, right? We talked about that earlier. Any money that you make from your core business from sales, whether it's courses, whether it's books, whether it's coaching, whether it's consulting, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's candles, all of that comes in through the operating activities. It will be bucketed together 100% of the time in the operating activity section. Marketing, what you spend to let folk know that you're out here. That's core, right? It's a beautiful thing that you have one statement. Yes, you can get it off of QuickBooks that tells you all of this, right? Rent and lease payments. That's a core business activity. You need to be up in the co-working space, right? You need to be using your leased car for the, etc., right? All of that is in the operating activities piece. It will always show up in your cash flow statement. If you were wondering where this stuff shows up clearly to show you the cash in and out, right here. That's one of three buckets. Now, the second bucket is investing activities. And the investing activities on the cash flow statement shows how much money has been used or made from investments. Yes, investments are relevant for businesses too. And this is why the cash flow statement is so cold, y'all. We're going to come out of working in our business and working on our businesses. Yes, your company can own investments. Absolutely, your company can create passive income, right, from appreciation and value of stuff. Absolutely. And the cash flow statement will show you how all of that is impacting your bank account balance at the end of a period. Examples of investing activities: buying or selling property, right? If you buy a building for your business, it doesn't mean you're going to sell the business every day and you buy it back. No, that is an investment in your business. You own that. You have a mortgage on that property, right? That shows up in your cash flow statement. It doesn't need to show up on your personal side. That's your business expense. That's your business cash moving. It shows up right here. Selling, right? Because maybe one day you want to sell it. That also impacts the cash of your company, right? Buying or selling equipment, right? Some of you are using like heavy duty machinery. Some of y'all might be in ag tech and you're literally buying tractors that are used and leased out, right? Some of you are buying other sturdy equipment. Maybe you're manufacturing things, right? Maybe you're in the apparel industry, etc. Right? This goes into investing activities. You don't sell that equipment. Y'all got me? Right? This is an asset for you, right? This is something that is an investment for you as a business owner. Buying or selling a manufacturing plant, right? I kind of alluded to this earlier, but the manufacturing plant itself is not a core business activity. No, but it's an investment activity. But you spent cash on that thing, right? We got to account for every dollar, sis. Buying or selling stocks. We already know that, right? Investment activity. You can, in your business, have a portfolio of stocks, right? That literally brings money in as you collecting dividends and all of that stuff, or the value goes up, right? Is an impact to your cash when you buy those stocks from your company. You got to know where the cash went, right? The cash flow statement absorbs all of that. And then the third one, the last one, because there are only three, and every single thing that you spend money on in your business will always show up in the cash flow statement. I promise you. The last one is financing activities. And the financing activities focuses on how a company raises capital and pays it back. It focuses on how a company raises capital and pays it back. So if you get that bank loan, it doesn't show up in operating activities. You didn't make a sale for that, sis. I'll prove it to you. Receiving cash from loans. When that money comes in, it definitely moved that bank account, didn't it? So it has to show up on the cash flow statement, right? But when you pay down the loan, that's money leaving the bank account, right? And it has to show up somewhere. I promise you the cash flow statement will always capture it in the financing activities. Receiving cash from issuing company stocks. So I want to break this down. It might not be relevant to you today, but I want to understand what that means. I want you to understand what that means. Companies sell stock because they need money. I don't think many people understand that piece, and they count themselves out. You count yourself out a lot when you need money, and you feel very bad about it, and you shouldn't. The only reason that companies give up ownership in their company is because they need money that bad, and they're like, well, instead of getting a loan, let me just get money from people, and I'll give them a partial ownership. That shows up in financing activities, right? And in this case, it would be you, right? It would be you saying, oh, I need money so badly. I don't want to get a loan. Let me find an investor. And maybe that investor wants 5% of your company. That's fine, okay? But that shows up in financing activity. We can see where the money came from. And it's not a core business activity, right? It's not what you do every day. It's not an investing activity because it's not like you're doing this to earn interest. Like, no, you need some money. That's the only reason you raise capital, because you need money. That's the only reason you issue stock, shares of your company, right? Partial ownership of your company. It's because you need money. And that is true for Apple. That's true for Dell. Everybody that has issued stock today is because they needed money and they decided to do that instead of getting a loan. You are not alone, big founder. Okay. Are y'all following me? Is it making sense? Give me some feedback in the chat, because I know, again, money is not always an easy topic to even sit with in the first place, right? But I want to make sure this is relevant to you, right? And that you can relate to what I'm saying. And then again, this is not today, but I want you to know this for the future, because big founder energy, y'all are going to have logos on the pages of other people's presentations because they work with you. When you use cash to buy back your company stock. And I'm explaining this as a financing activity because I want you to understand the agency and the power you have, big founder. Even if you decide to raise money, Teswan is with me. Thank you for the feedback, mama. Even if you decide to raise money by having your uncle be an investor and he has 5% share in your company, but that gave you the money you needed today, you can, founder, buy them out. If you at any point say, listen, I don't want any other owners right now. I've given up too much of my company, or they have too many opinions that I don't agree with, you can send money out, that's cash out. It'll show up in your financing activity, to buy that stock back, and you'll receive that 5% back, and you'll own, right, 5% more of your company than you did the day before. All of this, and like I said earlier, every single movement of cash in or out of your business shows up on the cash flow statement. Every time. It's going to give you so much clarity. I'll prove it to you. We have a question from Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. She said, like when people go on Shark Tank. Exactly right. Let me move it back. Listen, big founder energy. Say it with your chest, Jennifer. That is the connection, right? These from Black women. Okay. When people go on Shark Tank, it is just like going to your uncle and saying, I need some money. In exchange, I'll give you part ownership. Right. And as the company grow, you have ownership in this, this appreciating, right? This value of my company going higher and higher. So when people go on Shark Tank and they're looking for investors, understand that it is not free money. When the bank gives you money, understand this, founders, when the bank gives you money, they don't own your company. They don't want to own your company. They just want interest. That's how they get paid back. When an investor like folk on Shark Tank give you money, they want partial ownership. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have say-so. They might want to have say-so on what you do. Mm-hmm. They might want a percentage of your profits for the rest of your company's life. Mm-hmm. Right? But the way you can unravel some of this stuff, right? Let's say that very fast. There's a Black woman who sells very organic and green and environmentally friendly pads, right? Sanitary napkins for women, right? And she's had some Shark Tank like investors. She might have even showed up on Shark Tank, right? Femly is the name of that company. Femly. Highly recommend. She's super, super dope, owned by a Black woman, right? She has bought out investors. Literally, right? She has said, oh yeah, no, y'all got me effed up, right? And she has literally made sure her cash flow was tight enough. I mean, high enough, right? So that she could take that money and buy out investors. This is what I'm talking about when I say, right, that having a handle on this thing right here can make you so strategic. You know your guardrails. You can plan for the short term and the long term, right? And you can be efficient. Beautiful question, Jennifer. I appreciate you, sis. Janisha said, yes, learning so much. Beautiful. Lindsay, love family. Ariana, the sweetest. Ashay. Asia said, I learn something every time. That's the goal, sis. And I'm happy it's resonating, right? Because again, money is a very tough topic for us because of our experiences, right? So as a reminder, because y'all got this, the cash flow statement buckets all of your spending into 3 categories. Everything. There is not a thing you can spend money on in your business or make money from in your business at all that does not show up on the cash flow statement. It's 5. It's simple. And we need ease in our lives. Okay? So it's the operating activities, the investing activities, and the financing activities. And everything you do in your business, founders, will fall into one of these 3 things. It's actually a beautiful thing for you to know which of your decisions, right, are actually falling into these things, right? You know, oh, this is a core business decision right here. Oh, this is an investment decision right here. The long term is going to be amazing, even though I'm not making money off of it today. Oh, this is a finance activity. I need some capital like right now. Like, what am I going to do in this period to get it? Right? That's exactly what this is. Another reminder, right? Cash inflow minus cash outflow equals cash flow. Sounded good. Cash inflow minus cash outflow equals cash flow. So I'll give another example because it's just any period, sis. January to December. Let's say a company had $100,000 that came in. January to December. And as we all know, Black women, December is a time where Instagram goes, right? People talking about their 6-figure years. And that's fine, right? But if we want to talk about cash flow, it could be that, not always, but let's just show this company's example. It could be that January to December, $120 in cash went out because stuff has to happen. People have to be paid. Marketing has to be done. Maybe there were some supplies that they needed, etc. Right? Well, this means that their cash flow from January to December was negative $20,000. That's it. It is as simple as that. I promise. And you can choose any period you want to. It does not mean that they permanently have negative cash flow, because the last period, the prior year, could have been different. The quarter before that January, the 3 months before that could have been different, right? It is just a measurement of time, right? And then you, big founder, you use that, and I'll teach you how today, right, to make strategic decisions for your company, period. But you got that one statement that shows you all of this. All right. Then last reminder before we move on is that this cash flow number, this negative $20,000, always, always, always equals the change in your bank account for that period. For January to December, if you were to look at your bank statement for the top of that year, and then you go to the bank statement for the bottom of that year, I promise you the cash flow statement, right, will always explain what happened from that exact number to that exact number, even if some of the money is under your mattress, okay? It's just the change in your total cash balance. Jade is loving this. I'm happy to hear it, mama, okay? Remember that, always. I'm going to prove it to you. I promise, okay? All right, so let's look at the cash flow statement now that we understand this. This is a real cash flow statement, right? It looks just like this. It is not any harder than this, okay? And like was pointed out earlier, Rakita asked the question about, is it on QuickBooks? Yep. If you have QuickBooks Online, you have it, right? You can pull it, right? You just go to reports on the left side of your screen. You click on the cash flow statement and it'll show you this. Okay. All right. So operating activities. If you look to the left, operating activities for this particular company was $10,010. That is literally what this is. And you see their list. Cash received from customers. That's sales. We talked about that. Cash paid to suppliers. We talked about that. That's us paying our vendors, right? Cash paid to employees. We talked about us paying folks' salaries, etc. Cash spent on expenditures, normal expenses in the business, right? Cash paid on taxes, the real cash you pay. And this is the dope part. Not necessarily what you owed, because your tax bill might show what you owe, okay? And the tax bill is your income statement. Okay, but we only pick up in the cash flow statement what you paid out, right? So some of y'all, right, might have paid a little less. Only what you paid out, right, will show up on here. Okay, but it could be a myriad of things. There's so many core business activities, right? But what this shows is from them running their business, they actually had net cash flow of $10,000, right? I'm rounding. Okay, now as I mentioned before, and y'all know now very well, the cash flow statement also shows investing activities, okay? And if we look at this company, we see that $38,000, negative $38,000, right, was the net of their investing activity. So let's see what they did. Sale of building. That makes sense. They owned a building. They sold it. They got $120,000 in cash money. I told you it all shows up on the cash flow statement in one simple place, right? They acquired some newish machinery. Again, this is not a core business activity, right? This is an investment in the company, right? That cost them $18,000. Wow, they made $120,000. They only spent $18,000. Where did the money go? And a lot of y'all ask yourself this question, like, where did all my money go? Because y'all ain't looking at the cash flow statement. Well, we know where it went. They acquired a new building. Somebody said upgrades. Somebody said I'm upgrading, right? And so they spent $140,000 in cash, okay, on the new building. So this is why they have a net cash flow from investing activities of $38,000. You see, the cash flow statement makes this very, very clear, right? This founder can look at this and understand overall, right, what's being the biggest use of their cash, right? Do they agree with it? Did somebody make a mistake, right? Do they need to change some things, right? We're not done because we have 3 parts, right? So the third section, which you see right here, is the financing activities. And you can see that they have a positive cash flow of $45,000 from financing activities. Some of you are already guessing, oh, they raised money. Exactly right, right? So you can see that this company did a new loan agreement with the bank. So they got $60,000 in for the period, right? So this is for the year ended December 31st through 2020. Or of 2020. So for this year only. This is not saying all the way back through time. You can choose any period you want to. right? Within this period, right, they got $60,000 cash that came in. The cash balance went up, right? They also issued new shares. Casey, if they issued new shares, why is it $10,000 positive? Because, right, as we talked about, right, they needed money. And so they gave up some ownership in their company and the cash came in. The ownership is just a piece of paper. It's value, right? But the cash, we touch it and it came in, right? So the buyers of the shares, right, they gave up money for some ownership. And this company received $10,000. And lastly, because I already told y'all this, right? It's all cash movement. They paid down $25,000 of a loan. Now, it didn't have to be this loan. It could have been some other debt they already had. But I promise you, any money that moves, it shows up here, okay? That's it, y'all. Just these 3 different areas. But it's important for you, founder, to understand how you are looking, what you are doing in all 3 of these areas. The core business, we need to know if it's nasty. We need to know if we're not making any money from quarter to quarter to quarter to quarter to quarter, because we got to start asking some questions. Where's all the money going? If I look over here, I can see the biggest expense is cash paid to suppliers. They're paying their suppliers more than their employees. Big founder might say, do I agree with this? Right? This gives you clarity and precision. Right? All right. Now, I want us to also remember this fact, because I keep saying it, but I want to prove it to you, that the total cash flow, the net cash flow, will always reflect your difference in money. Always. Every single time. And you won't have to ask yourself, where did all the money go? You'll know exactly where it went. Okay. So you see that their cash balance at January 1st, 2020 was $43,000, $43,500. Again, I told y'all this period is the year of 2020, right? And this is proving it to us. Cash as of January 1st, 2020, that's the top of the year, was $43,500. Now, the net cash flow, okay? The net cash flow was $17,010, which means from all of my activities, if I take my operating activities, which was I was up $10,010, and if I take my investing activities where I was down $38,000, all right, so I'm in the hole, and then I take my financing activities where I got that money from the bank, book, right, and I'm up $45,000. My net cash flow is $17,010, and I should expect my cash balance to be moved by that exact same amount. Well, guess what? It moved by that exact same amount. $43,500 plus $17,010 equals $60,510. And if you look to the left, that is exactly what their cash balance was on December 31st. Any questions on this? Drop it in the chat box. Drop it in the Q&A. Right? Is this resonating? Does this make sense? Is this helpful? Right? Again, this only matters to me if it matters to you. Now, I know why it matters, right? But my purpose here is to edify you and to give you clarity and to give you peace of mind, right? And to help you understand what you should care about, right? So I want to make sure that this is resonating. I'll be watching the chat and the Q&A box, okay? All right. So as you are queuing up your questions and or comments, right, I will tell you why this matters for you, okay? Because it is important that this is meaningful for you. Number one, we want to ensure core business health. It is beautiful to have investments that do very well, but baby, if you're not a real estate agent, child, right, and that's not your core business, I'm still nervous for you if your core business is negative for years to come, right? So core business health is important. We need to be able to ask ourselves, how much cash does the core business generate? Well, guess what? The cash flow statement will tell us every single time, very, very clearly, right? We need to know how much it's generating. You need to ask yourself, are you making sales on inventory spend fast enough? And when I say inventory spend, I mean the money you spent on inventory. It's going to show up in your cash flow statement. Literally, you will see in your cash flow statement how much you spent in inventory. Literally, right? And if your sales line is not bringing in enough money, even though you've spent 4 times that amount on your inventory, that's telling to you. It should be telling you you're not making money on that inventory fast enough. And a big founder would say, let me slow down my spending inventory. Or, let me hire some salespeople. Or, Let me improve my marketing. Y'all see where I'm going? Like this statement, because you can see line by line where the cash is coming in and where the cash is going out, you can really, really ensure core business health, even if not in this period, for the next one, because it's never permanent, right? Bree says I have to leave 10 minutes early. Sorry. I appreciate all the knowledge. No worries, mama. I'm happy it was helpful. Kenyatta said it matters. What systems do you use? What system do you use? QuickBooks is what I would recommend. Or an accountant, and I'll put that on the screen in about a few, like 2 minutes. Rakita, this is very helpful. I felt empowered to handle my finances. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm happy to hear it. All right. Core business health. You should be asking yourself, are you spending too much money in the wrong period of the year? Whoo, this is deep right here. Because again, you can look at it by the period. So the full year tells one story, right? But what if you looked at it in 3Q, right? And 3Q actually shows you that in the core business, you're spending so much money on stuff you shouldn't. It is so helpful to know that, so you can steer the ship, and you can tell people, yeah, don't spend that much in inventory this quarter, or yeah, no, we don't need to hire many contractors this quarter because the sales aren't going to be high seasonally, right? It just doesn't make sense. All right, big fan of energy. And it can also show you, right? And you should also be asking yourself, what is the minimum cash balance that should be kept for operating activities? Notice I did not say for this other stuff. I didn't say the minimum cash balance to be able to buy up all this property, child, and buy up all this stock. I'm saying literally, by looking at your cash flow statement, you should be able to ask yourself how much money you should keep in cash as a safety net, right? To be okay just in case, to get you through the periods, because the cash flow statement is going to tell you. If you look at last year periods, you should be able to say, okay, I expect the same thing this year, maybe slightly better, right? But I know at least a minimum I need to keep. So much power comes from that. The second reason it matters is because you get to see the big picture, right? You can literally look at this whole sheet and see the investments you've made for your long-term vision. You can look at your investing activity and say, man, we spent $30,000 on that property, but I believe it's going to result in XYZ. Right? It's very important to look at that alongside your other activities, right? Because alongside that 30,000, you might see that you had a bank loan coming in of 60,000. So even though that money went out, right, you have an extra $30,000 that went to your cash balance, right? Like the big picture is super powerful. You can also see the amount of money of cash you brought in from loans or investors, like I just noted, right? And how much you've paid down over time. Because some of us, God bless us, we're just worrying about the money that comes in, child, and we have no idea what we are sending out of the door to manage those. We're only thinking about the inventory. We're only thinking about paying our employees. We need to understand the big picture, the full picture, and understand how much cash is leaving our company because of the decisions we made 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, right? And it's not a bad thing. It's just we have to have a handle on it so we make strategic decisions. All right. You can see what activities are hitting your cash balance the most. If you look at this whole thing and you see that there are two main places that is causing that negative dip in cash at the end of your period, it's so good to know that with clarity. You don't have to guess. It's right there on the page. Big founder energy. And it allows you to make adjustments when things are out of balance very easily. And if you're explaining it to your team, you can say, hey, look right there. Yeah, that's you. Yeah, so we're going to do this, right? So much clarity comes from this. And then the third reason and final reason I'll give you is because you will have increased precision. You can stop the bleeding with laser focus. So many times in our business, we've been scrambling. We don't know why this is happening, why that is happening. And we're just not sleeping at night trying to cover all the things. Now with a cash flow statement, baby, you stop the bleeding with laser focus. It's on that single line. And you're like, yep, let me have that talk tomorrow. All right. It's a beautiful thing. You can uncover what needs to be the priority in your company. It should not be a list of 30 goals. And you're trying to tell they're not. You just don't know what's important. The cash flow statement will show you. I promise you that. Right? It's a beautiful thing. You'll be able to adjust your key strategies through time with increased clarity and confidence, right? So maybe in one quarter, right, things are fine, but through time, if you look at period by period, you see that things might fall out of whack. You can steer the ship, right? That's the beauty of the cash flow statement. And then to the question that's come up a couple of times, what system do you use? Casey would recommend QuickBooks Online to pull up your cash flow statement reports, at least annually. You don't need to look at it if you don't want to, right? All the time. Quarterly is actually really cool, right? But at least annually, right? And then if you don't want to use QuickBooks Online because there's a fee every single month, right? Because if your business is small, using QuickBooks Self-Employed is fine. They don't have this report, but you'll get to a point where your business grows to the level of needing QuickBooks Online. You'll have it. So if you don't have QuickBooks Online or a comparable tool, you can hire an accountant once a year, right? And have them pull it together for you. And they will. And it'll be incredibly powerful. And that's what you can leverage to make your key priorities, right? And your strategic decisions. Okay. All right. So I know people love this. So I'm going to give another real company example. Let's go under the hood of Walmart, shall we? This is literally Walmart's cash flow statement from July 31st, 2022. Okay. So they have 3 sections, 3 categories of their cash flow statement, just like we do. Okay. And you can see from this, it's very small. So I blew the numbers out for you. You can see that from their core business, from their operating activities, they have $9.2 billion, right, in positive cash flow. From all the things that they did, okay, they have $9.2 billion positive. Okay. Now, for Walmart, for their investing activities, they actually have a negative cash flow of $8.6 billion. Well, okay, so where did it go? It says payments for property and equipment. They've been buying up some property, right? And these are just in the 6 months. That was my point around these are periods. These are in the 6 months ended July 31st. So that is from February 1st to July 31st. They bought some properties to the tune of $7.5 billion. And then the other stuff was some other stuff. They did some business acquisitions. They bought some companies. That's some investments, right? And they said other investing activities, but $8.6 billion. This is Walmart. Literally, this is their publicly available cash flow statement. And then Walmart had negative $1.4 billion in net cash flow from financing activity. Where did it go? Well, I can see that they borrowed some money, some short-term money to the tune of $10 billion, but they spent $5.7 billion to purchase back company stock. They said too many people are owning our company. Let's buy some back so we increase our internal ownership. That's cool. Strategic, right? Clearly that's strategic, right? Okay. And some other things went down, right? But all in all, Walmart's net cash flow was $844 million negative. Walmart's net cash flow for these 6 months from February 1st to July 31st was negative $844 million. And that shows up right here. That is as simple as this thing is. It is no harder than this, I promise, right? And you all can do the same exact thing in your businesses. Big founder energy, right? Now, Casey would say, okay, not too bad. Walmart, I expected Walmart to run a tight ship, child. I really did, okay? And it seems that they do. They keep it very, very tight. Somebody at the top is pulling strings very precisely, right? And so this is really small, but I'll call it out to you. This is saying that their cash balance at the start of this period was $14.8 billion, and their cash balance at the end of this period was $13.99 billion. So you see, like it truly is real, right? Barely moved if you're rounding, right? But they really ran a tight ship, and they leveraged this cash flow view, right, to understand what moves they could make. All right. Just to make sure we get this, right? Because I want y'all to see yourself in it. I'm bringing up Twitter, okay? Let's get all up in Twitter's business, okay? So Twitter, I use their cash flow statement from June 30th, 2022, okay? June 30th, 2022. And Twitter, from their operating activities, they have a positive $155 million. Not as lucrative as Walmart, we get it, but that's nice, right? So for these 6 months, in 6 months, they made $155 million. This is Twitter. In investing activities, what y'all see that number? $1.4 billion coming for these 6 months. Now, this is way more, okay, than their core activities, their core business activities. Where did it come from? Okay, so well, if I look over here, I see they did a line of things, actually. It looks like they positive. Ooh, some stocks. They have some stocks. So, and they made money off of their stocks. They sold some stocks, which were in the money. Very nice. They spent some money here on some stocks, so it kind of shook out to be net even. What else? Proceeds from sale of asset group. That's what did it. Proceeds of sale of asset group. So what this means is they sold a part of their company, right? They sold a part of their company. That's not a core business thing. They don't sell parts of their company every day, okay? But they broke off a piece of their company, something that probably wasn't doing well, and sold it to somebody else. Super fine. That's different from raising capital, clearly, right? You're selling your property, right? And then last but not least, their financing activity was a negative $1 billion, excuse me. So the biggest thing I see over here was them repurchasing their common stock. So just like Walmart, they said, listen, we got too much out there, too much. Let's pull some back, right? So they bought some of their stock. All right. So this means all in all, the net cash flow of Twitter was $505 million up. Okay. $505 million up. And that was the move in their cash. So if you look at, it's so small. I'll just say it out loud to you all. Cash at the beginning of the period, they had $2.2 billion. Cash at the end of the period, they had $2.7 billion. The math works out, okay? So you all now understand the cash flow statement, why it matters, how you can leverage it real time in your business. I want to tell you, right, that there is so much learning that Blaze offers. There's so much teaching that I do, okay? I love this stuff. I learned a whole bunch of stuff that was locked behind the doors, right, of ivory towers in big companies, and I am literally giving this knowledge to the streets every single day. That is why I left corporate America. You are my why, okay? So the Blaze Business Intensive, it teaches you a whole lot about managing your business, right? But it definitely teaches you how to find yourself in it, right? So this stuff mattered because I made sure that it was relevant to us in terms we understood, right? Using examples that mean something to us, right? That is what the Blaze Business Intensive does, because it's not just about you regurgitating big words you don't understand. It's about you getting it in your bones, right? And that's what the Blaze Business Intensive does for you. There's 6 different modules, right? It starts with self-discovery and entrepreneurship. It is so important to be anchored in the things that are meaningful to you, right? It's so important that you're selling your most profitable skills, not some shit that you're going to give up in 3 years because you don't like it anyway, right? We can't do this for mom and them. It got to be for us. You learn about the business plan, right? And how to apply it real time in your business, like real time. We don't do any busy work in this. Budgeting, right? How to not run a hobby, but a business. You have to spend money on your business if you're running a business, huh? So you learn about how to do that as a founder, big founder energy. Projections, you'll have cash flow projections, literally what you've seen today, but actually you'll project it out into the future. So you'll know your cash position 12 months out into the future for every single month. Right? Super powerful. Strategy and automation. You will learn how to automate your business, right? How to apply strategy to it. If you don't have money to hire people, hire a tool, hire several tools, right? It is so important for growth and scale. And then we end on networking. We stop similar to how we start, right? Because I believe as mentors have poured into me, have told me that 1 + 1 is not 2. It never was. It is always 11. There's always exponential power, right? In knowing people who can help bridge you to things that you would have taken you 5 years of learning on your own. Okay, a 5-minute conversation, 5 minutes can save you 15 years of learning on your own. And so you'll learn how to do that strategically. Self-discovery, you'll learn your purpose, your power, and your principles on the path to profitability. We are being profitable. This ain't about doing hobbies, right? In your business plan, you'll learn how to build a business plan that actually works, not busy work, but the stuff that will actually keep you here and make sure you grow into a brand that the world recognizes. You'll understand how to budget for today's Black woman startup, right? Because times have changed and the way we do business has changed, right? Digital readiness is a must. There are ways that you can leverage technology to add ease in your life that Big Mama could have never conceived, right? So you learn how to budget for today's Black woman startup. Financial forecasting. I will show you how to do some projections that show you the money, right? We want to have good lives, right? And I love finance, honestly, right? So I've typically taught it in a way that people really, really understand very deeply. Strategy and automation. I'll teach you how to automate your business and measure your results, right? Much like we've been talking about today. Really measuring it, right? Having benchmarks and holding yourself to that. And then finally, I'll help you prepare for the biggest meeting of your life, right? networking for net worth, really having sticky relationships that pay dividends for years and years to come. So I highly encourage you to come on the other side of the fence, right? Join us in the Blaze Business Intensive. It is completely self-paced, but you have a lot of support, right? So you have a jumpstart session with me. It is live. It is really me. I really talk to you. I really give you feedback about what you should focus on, right? How you should leverage the course, why, right? Why the things that you'll learn is important for you and your business so that you're not all over the place and don't get the most out of your investment, right? Wind Down Wednesdays happen every single week, and all Blaze Business Intensive students and alumni have lifetime access. Lifetime. It does not end. Okay. Homework for each module so that you really deepen your understanding, a private community. We have a lot of community channels and then networking events that are private to the Blaze Business Intensive. But obviously, you can pull up with the rest of the folks as well. So special pricing for 2 hours. I would highly recommend you come inside of the program. It is so rich in content. It is so rich in support. It is so rich in resources, spreadsheets, workbooks. I mean, so many things for you to leverage, right? So you're not lost. And then regardless, we're going to be around here. Okay. So Instagram, follow us, Twitter, follow us, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things. Definitely pull up. It's been a pleasure to share space with you today. I thank you so much for leaning in the way that you have. And I hope to see you and talk to you soon. All right. I want to know your name. All right. Love and light. Bye.